Let's start. Well,
Gene's like, I don't remember you. I'm sorry.
no, I
So
remember.
sorry to this man.
It's sorry. Don Duncan says in Boston is 57. All right, if you're ready,
Mm.
Tommy, we're going to
Yes, sir.
pause for a second so AI cuts this in a
All
nice
right.
way. They literally do. All right, here we go. And welcome to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Really happy to have with me my friend Tommy Christopher, a former White House correspondent, at times a White House correspondent, I think, as well.
Yes, still am. Yeah.
Contributing editor at Mediaite, which is Mediaite.com, which is a great job of aggregating media stories from around the media landscape on the left, the right, and the center. So you really learn about what's going on in the media. And I use it literally every day, numerous times a day, to prepare for my radio show and my article. So, Tommy, thanks so much for being on, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
So, Tommy, you have a keen eye for the media because you're watching it all the time. So, I'm going to ask you some media questions. But
Yeah.
first, I got to ask you, because you follow this closely, Pam Bondi gone. The why we can discuss, I'd love to hear, but why now is really a little bit more intriguing. It's a year and 4 months in. It's not like after the midterms. It's not the
Mm.
typical place, like just randomly on April, it's like you're gone. Why now?
Yeah. Well, my theory is that this is, I think he had this as sort of in his back pocket. I'm sure he decided to do it before now, and he just thought, let me save this until I really need something to sort of blot out the sun and distract from something. And I think that I don't think it's a coincidence that this happened right after his war speech that went over like a lead balloon, and things are just going so poorly. And it's not that it's not even that the war situation is tragic. It's not that we've lost so many service members in this war, and it's not that the civilians who've been killed or the oil prices. It's the fact that it is getting him criticism from his own base and from Fox News and people who are supposed to be with him. And I think that is where he was like, okay, well, I need something. I need to throw up some kind of a distraction. I mean, I think he was going to do it anyway, but I think some people ask, well, why didn't he wait until like whatever? And it's because it serves a purpose.
Right. It's, I'm not sure you saw the New York Times reporting today. Pam Bondi wanted a graceful way to leave because she knew it was coming, and Trump
Right.
wouldn't give it to her. He just fired her. And the reporting is that she was pleading for a job like the day before, and that he told her in the car ride to the Supreme Court on Wednesday, the oral arguments. Now that's the reporting, but it's reputable
Mhm.
sources that he said, I got to make a change. What an awkward car ride that must have been for the rest of the ride, huh? I mean,
I mean, yeah, although, I mean, it's still like way below the Reince Priebus line. If you remember, there's a blast from the past when they fired Reince from the plane, like right as he was getting off of it or whatever. That was crazy. But, yeah, I did hear about that. And, my feeling is that, there's the distraction, but also it could be, I don't want to speculate because I don't have that inside information, but it could also be that there's something coming
right.
that necessitated this. And, what that is, we just don't know yet. It could be something simple. It could be something like, well, we were going to talk a little bit later about Todd Blanche trying to shut down the Epstein files. Maybe it could be that, they just decided to tag him in to try but I don't know because the Epstein files has not been getting that much ink lately. It's not been getting that much air. So,
We start a
um,
war. You start a war, and that's what
yes,
happened. I mean, you do an
exactly. Yeah.
actual
Yeah.
full scale war, and people don't talk about Epstein. The only thing that I think it's an interesting point, Tommy, you make that there might be something else out there that we don't know about now, and then it gets revealed in a week or a month from now, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. The only thing coming up was she was subpoenaed to testify, Pam Bondi, in
Right.
mid-April. But it doesn't matter if she's not in the administration. It was a subpoena. She's still going to have to go, or they can resubpoena if they want. People who are not members of the administration have to testify before Congress every day. That's not an issue. So they're still
Yeah.
going to get her. And I don't know if Trump thought, if I fire her before that, then there's no testimony. If he doesn't get the fact you can still subpoena someone not working in the administration.
I mean, I don't want to say he's not dumb enough to think that he is dumb enough, but I don't think that's very likely. Um, I also think, I mean, he's got to know that she's got less protection, not more, if she's out of the administration. I mean, I think that's just a pretty simple concept, but who knows?
No, that's an
Um,
excellent point.
but yeah, Nancy Mace was on CNN today saying, the subpoena wasn't for the attorney general; it was for Pam Bondi. It was for
Excellent.
Pamela Bondi. So they're going to press that, and we'll see what happens.
The,
I mean, look. Getting Pam Bondi um, before that committee, that's going to be something else. Yeah.
It is, and I hope it's out in the public and not behind the scenes that we only get a
Yeah.
transcript later. I'm not sure right now. I kept looking, is it in front of the cameras or not? But there could be a situation like her husband's like Christy Noem's husband. Maybe there's something lurking out there.
I mean, yeah, I don't know,
That that
but
caught me that really caught me off guard. At first, I thought it was a joke. I know it was on the list of topics we were gonna talk about, but I know you guys covered it at Mediaite. But Chrissy Noem's husband, Byron, was caught in a scandal
yeah,
where he dresses up like it's called bimbofication. So it's this bizarre thing with a huge fake breasts and selling pictures and buying pictures of other people doing this. I don't even understand it. I don't even
no,
care. I don't
right.
understand it.
I'm glad you brought this up, because I I'm not terribly read in on that story, but my thing is um it's like you, I don't care, and like this is a good media question actually because a lot of my coworkers and colleagues were asking, hey, how come cable news isn't covering this? Because it is very salacious and there's art, but I just think I mean that's a good question. For me personally, my own personal taste, I don't see what the story is. I mean, let the man like what he likes. People like what they like. It doesn't. I didn't read too much about it, so I don't know. Did he cheat on her? It doesn't sound
It's
like it.
not an allegation. I mean,
Right.
Christy Dome killed a dog named Cricket, which is so much worse than
Right.
her husband
Yeah.
dressing up. But I will say this though, on a serious note, Tommy, if she was still there, it would be a story because experts on national security have raised it would make her compromise, potential to compromise and blackmail if before it gets known, then some foreign intelligence agencies go to her and say, here's pictures of your husband. If you don't want to lose your job, you have to do
Right.
this for us. But she already was gone when we
No, but
learned
she's
about it.
got that very powerful position at the
Oh,
Committee
this
for the Americas or whatever it is. So,
Oh, yeah, that weird shield thing, which, like, we no one
that's what
understands.
it is. Yeah. Like,
No one even understands what that's about. I think so let's talk about Todd Blanche for a second.
all right.
As of now, Todd Blanche, he's
Well,
number 2.
before you do, I actually genuinely would like your take on why the network. Or do you disagree with me on why the networks haven't? I don't think they've touched it. I haven't seen anything about it on here about
I
Noma's
have been
husband.
I don't watch cable news unless I'm on it.
Okay. Well.
And even that I do watch periodically. I'll listen at the gym in the morning. I do a lot. I listen to MS Now a lot, like Ana Cabrera. I'm sorry she's leaving. I like her a great deal. And but I listen to cable news, and every now and then I'll doubt like Chris Hayes and a few others I will watch. But I don't watch as much as I used to. I read a
Okay.
lot. I read nonstop articles from all the and a lot of international sources. So I have more confidence in them. Like I can't trust CBS News any longer, to be blunt. I
Right.
used to, but BBC and The Guardian,
Mediaite, obviously.
Mediaite, of course, but Mediaite is great. I'm not bullshitting because you're here and you're an
Yeah.
editor. You bring all the media clips together. So from there, it's the entry point for me. Like you're the gateway drug into other stuff.
Yes.
So
We
like I'm like,
watch cable
oh,
so you don't have to.
right, so I'm like, yeah, so I'm watching clips from cable all day for my show because of you. I won't even say any other website. I'll leave it at you, but I can
Alright.
tell you Mediaite's my primary one to go to. The so Todd Blanche yesterday goes on Jesse Waters on Fox News, and Jesse Waters actually, I'm not gonna say pushed, but framed the question to him. Don't you have to admit that she screwed up Epstein? And he didn't want to say that. I'm like, what didn't you think for Jesse Waters to take a shot at Pam Bondi on the day she's fired, which shows deep down. Remember when Pam Bondi first wouldn't get the documents last July, even Laura Ingraham and others on Fox News were clamoring against it. And then they were like, okay, stop talking about it. They still were not happy with Bondi.
Yeah.
That's what really felt like it. So that's, I think, is the more a meaningful thing being lost a little in the conversation. The right was still not happy with Pam Bondi.
Yeah, no, and, I think that, I mean, Blanche is gonna have a rude awakening, and Trump is gonna have a rude awakening if they think that getting rid of, Bondi is gonna take care of this. I mean, so look, the war has so far been shielding him, but, like, there's people still out there who have to fill up podcasts every Joe Rogan and all these other guys who have been complaining about the Epstein files all along, and they're still going to be out there doing that. War or no war, and that's going to penetrate. And pardon my French, but Todd Blanche, I don't understand what's going through his head. Like the biggest mistake that she made was putting out that letter saying, "Yeah, there's no more nothing in the Epstein files." Why would he do that on day one? Why
I,
wouldn't he just say, "Well, I don't know, ask me in a week." You know?
Well, he knows what his job is. And I'm going to read the line. Todd Blanche, number two in DOJ, who's now the acting AG, and he might end up being the nominee formally. We're going to see. I had Doug Jones on last night, the former Senator U.S. Attorney, who made it clear, in case people ask, since he was confirmed for number two position, does he still have to be confirmed for number one position? And yes, he does under the
Yeah.
law. So he still has to be. But Todd Blanche is on Fox News last night and says the DOJ has now released all of the files with respect to the Epstein saga. And he goes on to say the DOJ regarding Epstein files should not be a part of anything going forward. There are over 1,100 victims. You have not investigated anybody. Zero. This is the biggest cover up, Tommy, we've ever seen. You have victims. I'm a lawyer. You've got victims saying I can identify the person who abused me, and you go to the government, they should investigate and prosecute. They are doing nothing. They won't even talk to them.
Yeah, I have to, we're sort of operating in the dark, but, you know, I do wonder if maybe there is some sort of a back room acknowledgement of what would happen going forward, because, eventually the, the diehards are going to push this issue. They can read out these names using the speech and
Sure.
debate clause, and they'll be immune. And that might be, maybe that's Blanche's plan, is to let that happen, and wash his hands of it. I don't know. But it is sort of nuts. It's like, have you not been paying attention? You're going to try and, like, mission accomplish this thing. Uh, uh, that,
I wonder, do you think Todd Blanche will get through? Look, they have the votes in the Senate, Republicans, they just need a majority. But I can only imagine if he has to go through the Senate asking all the questions about why did you meet with Ghislaine Maxwell? Why did you move
yeah,
her to a nicer prison? Which is outrageous. Just so everyone's clear, Ghislaine Maxwell was convicted, jury here in New York, where I live, Southern District of New York, for
yeah,
being involved in raping children. Just so you know, raping children. She was convicted of trafficking children and being involved with Epstein and raping children. As prosecutors made the point, Jeffrey Epstein could not have recruited these young teenage girls. The older guy walks up to them, they run away. But
right.
because Ghislaine could go up to them, so he'll have to answer that. But I think he's going to have to answer to so much. Like, this guy was Trump's lawyer, and now I heard rumors that Elena Halba might be nominated. Imagine that.
Oh, that would be crazy. But, and listen, I think that she's, I'm not a handicapper, but, like, if I was going to bet on who Trump wants, I bet she'd be the one. I think Blanche is going to have a problem when it comes time to do these hearings. He's going to talk like a semi-normal person, and that is not what Trump wants. He wants somebody like Bondi who's going to sit there and go, "You should be talking about the Dow. Why are you doing what? Leave Donald alone." That's what he wants, and Blanche isn't going to do that. I mean, look, Blanche has his own set of problems, and there are many, but
Right.
I don't think he has it in him he doesn't, he's not at that level of shamelessness, unfortunately for him.
Do you
But
think
Alina Habba, forget about it. Alina Habba would eat up a congressional hearing. So
By the way, I have to go back to that. If people don't remember, the Pam Bondi said at the House hearing just last month, seems like a lifetime ago, 50,000, 50,000. It's not 50,000. She repeated it because I played on my show. Why are you talking about the idea of children being raped? We're
mm.
talking about the Dow. And then they laugh. And she says, why are you laughing? Do you think that clip becomes like a defining moment of Pam Bondi's term?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. That's going to be her. I can see my house from here. Remember the
Right.
Tina Fey,
Sure.
the I can see Russia from my house. That's what it was. But yeah, no, that's definitely going to be her signature uh gaff, I guess.
50, that was some of the most jarring things I've ever seen. Look, I
Yeah.
hope they hold them accountable.
No, but that Trump loved that.
I'm
Trump
sure.
loved that. Everything that we think makes her look like an idiot, Trump loved. The things that he didn't like. I mean, look, I don't know if we got into this yet, but, like, she failed at the revenge cases. She
Yes.
blew all of them.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, I hate to defend her, but, like, who can blame? I mean, why? It's not her fault. These were terrible cases, and he literally forced her to do them. Which, I think that's kind of amazes me that even Pam Bondi, who has who has no shame, who has, like, the shame of the naked cowboy, uh, and even she didn't want to do it, apparently, because he had to force her. So, I mean, Blanche. The thing, I guess Blanche is going to do the same thing. He's going to probably try and bring these cases. He's going to fail, but he's going to do it sounding less crazy. And I don't know if Trump's going to like that either. I think Alina Habba would be the perfect because she's got the look, she's got the sound, she's got the the temperament, that strident sort of like I forget, am I allowed to curse on this thing? I almost
Sure,
did.
why not?
Right. So, but yeah, I mean, she's got that fucking all attitude, and that's what Trump wants. And this is the thing. That's why I'm sure. Here's the other thing about Trump. I wrote an article about this. About this. Did you see this crazy Easter lunch that they deleted off of the White House?
Mhm.
That's the funniest thing ever. They it was supposed to be closed press. They even sent a pool report. The pool reporters were like, "Yes, it's still closed press. We won't be able to see it." They streamed the whole thing live, and Trump is saying the craziest shit. And they're laying hands on him, and they're like comparing him to Jesus. Um, but I forget what my fucking point was.
Yep,
Well,
I
Bondi.
know.
Oh, that's what it was. So Bondi was there, and this is hours before the firing, and he's like, "Hey, Pam." And he shouted her out, and you could tell, like you could tell, the affection he has for her is genuine. He really likes her, and I'm sure. I'm sure, like he did. A lot of them didn't want to do this. I'm sure he. First of all, I'm sure he loved all that hearing shit. Um, so this is the one time where they say, well, it wasn't. What was it wasn't acrimonious or whatever. I believe that. You know.
It would look. The reason that Donald Trump has to like Pam Bondi's been protecting Donald Trump. She's been in the protecting Donald Trump business for decades. She was
Yeah.
the Attorney General of Florida from 2011 to 2019. 2011, 2019. What was going on in the state of Florida at the very time? Jeffrey Epstein was running a child rape ring and
Yeah.
trafficking women. She never investigated it. I researched it. She took great strides and talked about how she prosecuted people who were trafficking women and children, all this kind of stuff. Nothing for Epstein because she protected, and it wasn't just Trump, it was powerful men. And I'm sure
Yeah.
Democratic men as well. She protected them and moved up the ladder. That was the deal. She also stopped the Trump University investigation when she was AG. Florida residents complained to her. We were defrauded. She says, okay, we're closing it. Trump gave her $25,000 right before that, and then has fundraisers for her. So look, they've been close for a long time. So on a human level, maybe, but she failed him. She didn't protect him.
Yeah.
That's his view. But Tommy, the protection doesn't come in from now. The protection is Donald Trump should not have been the best friends of a child rapist
Yeah.
from the mid '80s to the 2006 or 2007. That's not Pam Bondi. She didn't connect them. He met him and was hung out with the guy.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe who knows if we will ever know the truth. But up until that that birthday letter, I thought, oh well, this is just like guilt by association. I don't think Trump really, I don't. I think he was just friends with the guy, but then after that note, that birthday note, I was like, all right, there's definitely something going on here, and I think that what'll end up happening
Mhm.
what I think the truth probably is that probably he had women who were procured by Epstein who were young, but who may have technically been legal.
Right.
I think that's is probably like disgusting stuff, and I think that there were probably acts like the one that was described by E. Jean Carroll.
Right.
Um,
In the Epstein file that was released,
yeah,
sexually assaulted a 13-year-old. Said Trump sexually assaulted her and then physically
yeah,
assaulted her because she would do it.
yeah. I found that to be this is the one where she said that she bit him on the penis.
Right.
Uh, If you go read it, we have that at Mediaite too, the FBI notes on that. It sounds it sounds very plausible. It doesn't sound like an outlandish
Mhm.
um, thing because it's more about like the abuse of power and coercion. That you could definitely see. It's not when you just say the allegation, it just sounds too
Right.
monstrous to picture. But but yeah, go read that. I encourage people.
And the fact that the FBI spoke to her 4 times, I asked Frank
Mhm.
Figliuzzi, and Frank and Frank's former special agent. I said, "What does that indicate?" He goes, "You only speak to someone 4 times because they're credible. Because if they're not credible, you talk to them once, you go, 'This person's a liar,' and you don't
Yeah,
waste your time." There was enough credibility there. And it doesn't mean the allegations are all true, but there was enough credibility for FBI agents to go back to talk to her again to see if the story falls apart. Did she leave something out? Is she making things up now? Is she being fantastical?
right.
So to him, it had credibility because of that. But at the end of the day, these things are not going to be litigated in a courtroom. it's the world we live in. But I want to ask you,
Yeah.
Tommy, and I'm chatting with Tommy Christopher from Mediaite, in case you don't know, longtime writer's correspondent, and really his astute eye for the media. Look, we heard forever, years ago, by Republicans of liberal media bias, which is absolute bullshit. We all know that. What frustrates me is Donald Trump is now horribly unpopular. Horribly. CNN polls, Quinnipiac, and everything. But when you watch corporate news, there's no sense that he's a 35% approval rating or a 39% approval rating. It's like all Trump all the time without any context whatsoever. And I don't, and maybe I'm not remembering correctly. Maybe they didn't bring it up for other presidents, but I would think they would say the president's very unpopular and that kind of stuff. It's just whatever he says, they just cover and they run around. Am I missing something? Maybe I do.
Yeah, I do. Well, here's what I think. Trying to cover Trump. I mean, it's like trying to cover like a three-headed unicorn. I mean, there's never been one before, And so the fact is, you're right. I do watch a lot of media, and um, they do cover his unpopularity. I mean, CNN is always banging on about the dismal polls, but then they do this other thing where they're like, oh, like Harry Enton, and who I love, is a wonderful, lovely gentleman.
Right.
But today, he did at least two segments on how unpopular the Democrats are. And I'm not saying they shouldn't report that, but it's hard to contextualize that. I just don't think they do a good job it makes it seem like they're the same, but they're not. I mean, the reason Democrats are unpopular is because they're doing a shitty job of, and I know this is one of our topics, they're doing a shitty job of fighting Trump. And so they're sort of both data points support the same thing. Trump is unpopular, and the Democrats are unpopular because they're not beating Trump. Which I also look, as a Democrat and as a liberal, that frustrates me too, because it's like, okay, you want to get mad at Democrats because they aren't fighting Trump, but then you guys voted him in and gave him both houses of Congress. And now you're going to get mad at the Democrats because they can't use the power you didn't give them. So, so this is the thing. I think that the way the media covers Trump is a reflection to some degree of the reality, which is he is unpopular, and yet he is very powerful because, people always say like, oh, he's playing 12-dimensional chess. No, what he has done is he cheats. He just flips over the board,
Yep.
and they go, what a great chess player. Like it's idiotic. But, so the media is at a disadvantage because they have to try and, uh, they don't have to try. It's not that they have to try and look objective. They really do, care about being objective and trying to be objective. And telling the truth in this situation just doesn't seem objective, even though it is.
That's
Trump
an
is
excellent, it's an excellent
horrible.
point. Right. When you tell the truth about Trump, Trump lashes out and Republicans lash out that you're somehow anti-Trump or something. You're just telling the truth.
Yeah,
They,
right. But even like quote unquote normal people will get that impression. I'll be like, all you guys ever do is talk bad stuff about him, and it's like, yes, because that's all he does. You know,
we woke up one thing and we're at war. There was
it's
not even a this debate
yeah,
about it. Like we just woke
no,
up and we're at war. Like
yeah,
what are you talking about? We're at war. It's surreal to live through some of this stuff. This is insane. I mean, to remind people, Bush went to Congress and got votes for the authorization for military force, and he went to the UN and he got a Security Council resolution. Yeah, a lot of it was based on lies, but he did the whole thing and built support.
yeah,
Trump just won.
yeah,
We wake up, we're bombing Iran. We're like, are you kidding me? And I thought it was
yeah.
a one-day bombing. We've been at war now, and people are suffering. So speaking of that and democratic messaging, how objectively, when you look at their fighting against Trump on the war, how do you think their messaging has been on that?
I mean, it's no, I mean, I guess not great. Is my answer. I think Democrats have been all around do a terrible job on the war and on everything else. Um, I think that where Democrats went wrong, or most of them with this war, is when they skipped past the the start of the war and the illegality of it. You know, that should be the beginning and the end of the story. Okay. So, like, they shouldn't be saying, well, I wish he would have explained himself or consulted. No, you don't get to start wars. That's Congress's job, period, full stop. They don't know how to
They're
do
not
that.
going to do more. Oh my God.
Yeah, they talk too much and they don't say enough. Like the reason Trump wins, aside from being able to cheat and lie, and it doesn't matter what he does, is he keeps it simple. Democrats don't know how to keep it simple. The simple fact is, it's Congress's job to declare war, not the president's, and here's why. Okay, and now we've got is it 12 Americans have been killed? Maybe we had the fighter that was shot down. One of the pilots is still missing, as far as I know.
Yes,
Um, you know, uh, we, we're paying a terrible price in terms of the oil prices and the gas prices, and it looks like we're going to end up um, ending this war without um, taking control of the Strait of Hormuz. Basically, the best we can hope for is a wash if Iran feels like opening the strait, and all that at Donald Trump's whim. Okay,
exactly.
and but here's the thing: Congress, the Republicans, let's just say, because when you say Congress, it's like you're acting like the Democrats would ever, approve this. Okay, Congress needs to assert itself, and so if they're not going to, Trump is just doing whatever. What it's just like that. It all goes back to the Access Hollywood bus. He's doing whatever they'll let him do because when you're a star, they let you do it. You know what I mean?
That's what
And
he
so
said.
he's just doing he's doing whatever he wants as much as you will let him do. And Republicans will let him do anything. And Democrats are very poor at stopping him.
And there are people who call in my show or even in the comments say things about, well, my Democrat in my state is a good fighter. That's true. But here's the problem, Tommy, and for everyone. We could all name the same 20 or 25 Democrats
Yeah.
who are in the fight, do a good job. We can list them all: Raskin and Murphy and Van Hollen and AOC and whatever. 2025. The problem is there's 250 Democrats in Congress. That's
Yeah.
the problem, folks. Where are the rest? Tommy, I could not agree with you more. After Trump just started a war, they should have been talking about it's illegal. We're going to impeach the guy and we're going to remove him, and at least talk about that. Not one person brought up impeachment, or maybe a few, but really not one voice.
No.
Instead, they got to like, well, Iran is a bad actor, but I wish he came to us first. That's not the answer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like who's gonna be inspired by that?
And
Ugh.
that's the problem with Democrats, because the reason Democrats aren't polling well, and I haven't looked at the latest poll, it's Democrats themselves aren't happy with Democrats. We're happy with our ideals, but we're not. I go on cable news and they go, "Oh, Democratic have identity crisis." I go, "No, we have a leadership crisis. We don't have an
Yeah.
identity crisis. Everyone watching and listening, our values, we know what they are. They have not changed in the last year and a half. It's Democrats at the top. Some are corporate, some are progressive, some are in the middle, some want to get super PAC money, and it's a mess. We don't have one voice, and that's who we are. Until we have 2028, Tommy, do you think, before we wrap up, once we get a nominee or a leader running for president, that person then effectively becomes, for the media point of view, does that person then become the go-to for the Democratic response then? So we at least have a leader?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when we have a nominee or when we have like a front
When we
runner.
have like a de facto, like if we have, they win a bunch and they become like the presumptive nominee. I know we're a little away from that, but, or at least a
I know.
few. Do you think then the media goes, because right now we don't have a go-to person?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's sort of our own fault, because a lot of Democrats. But the shorter answer is no, I don't think so. I think that you
Oh,
know I think what it's very individual, Dean. We need somebody. I like Gavin Newsom as a communicator. There's things I don't like about
fair,
him,
right, fair point. Yeah.
but like so I could see Gavin Newsom becoming that. But if the front runner is somebody else, then maybe not, because like Elizabeth Warren, she speaks in a very canned fashion. A lot of Democrats. I was talking to Joe Walsh about this the other day, and I mean, I don't take credit for his idea, but the Democrats don't know how to talk like real people. Very few of them. AOC does a pretty good job. Newsom does a fair job. He's well, I mean, he's trying to, he's using Trump's act against him, and that's good.
Right.
But even he sometimes, like Democrats, they just speak in these canned phrases like working families is the one I always point to. Who the fuck says working families in their everyday life, I mean, like, people don't talk like that. And so even if we're saying things that people agree with, they hear that and they're like, who is this person? And we need somebody who has that like air of authenticity. Because look, uh, I hate when people call Trump authentic because he's obviously not. Look, watch this religion thing, the Easter thing, when
Right.
he lets it all hang out. It's not the same thing he projects in public. And but uh, he has this air of authenticity because whatever you think, he lies all the time, but he doesn't think about what he's saying.
No,
He's not
there's no
careful about
focus
what he
group. There's
says.
no focus group.
People like that. People like that he's not careful about what he says. And I think that, Democrat, but the problem, here's the problem with that is if there was a Democrat who was like Trump but wasn't saying crazy shit, who was just not careful about the way they spoke, the media would like every slip up. Remember Biden? He's a lifelong stutterer, and every time he stuttered, they were all over him. Okay, so if a Democrat did that, they would just harp on everything and just hound him. And for some reason, that doesn't happen. Well, it does happen to Trump, except Trump doesn't give a shit.
No, he doesn't, and the
You know?
base doesn't care. And meanwhile, the corporate media goes after Democrats who go on podcasts of people who have said bad things, and they harp on that.
Right?
And
Yeah.
you
Well,
know, with
is
Hassan
this the?
Piker, that big thing now about that.
Thank you.
And then you've
I
got, but can I just say this? So
Yeah.
Jake Tapper goes after Hassan Piker based on his words. That's fine. You have every right to call him out. But Jake Tapper goes on Bill Maher's show, has a long history of anti-Muslim bigotry, and no one says, "Hey, Jake, why did you go on Bill Maher's show?" And it's not just about Jake. A lot of them have gone on Bill Maher. I'm Muslim. I've written about the anti-Muslim bullshit and also anti-Palestinian stuff. I'm also Palestinian. Bullshit for years. He's trafficking. He's also anti-women a lot. Bill Maher.
Anti-trans, very
Right.
anti-trans.
And no one calls out any Democrat or anchors who go on those shows. So at
Yeah.
least be fair or just let it go. Like if you don't like Hassan Piker and someone goes on his show, then don't vote for that person. And if you like him, you vote for him. The same. And if there's going to be a backlash in the media, I don't mean media shouldn't talk about it. I'm just saying people are going to vote for what they want. I don't think it's like an endorsement at this point. Like it means nothing. Like I mean,
Yeah.
okay, Jake's going to complain about Hassan. If you think Hassan Piker's a bigot, you're not going to like the candidate. If you don't, you're like, I don't care. He's just talking to the guy. It's just like I talk to you. I don't know everything you've said. You definitely don't agree with everything I've said, and I've said
Yeah.
some outrageous shit. So,
Yeah. No, that's for sure.
just right here.
I'm glad you brought up Hassan Piker because I keep seeing people talk about that, and I haven't really read in on it. I mean, I know the rap on Hassan Piker, but but he's sort of like out there. Like he's not like I'm like, why does anybody give a fuck about Hassan Piker? He's not like, you
He's
know,
got a following
who?
on Twitch and stuff, and
Yeah,
some
but he's
young.
not a Democrat. I mean, he's not like a Democratic Party
No,
official. So what happened? Somebody went on his show.
he's an influencer, and yeah, Bernie, AOC, Rokana, a whole bunch went on his show.
Um,
But then they went after Abdul El Said, who is I know Abdul, who's Muslim Arab American running for Senate in Michigan. So they really went after him. And look, if someone has spewed hateful stuff against any community, you have every right to call them out. But when you're saying Hassan Piker is this or that, and you give one example of years of broadcasting, like one example doesn't make you that.
yeah,
It's like if you have a bunch of stuff, like Tucker Carlson was a white supremacist. I might agree with his views on the Middle East, but I don't like Tucker Carlson. I'm not going to amplify that guy. But you'll say, okay, on this one issue, he makes a little sense, but I don't give you. I still don't like the guy. I think he has a long history. Uh, if Hassan Piker, if people can document a long history on something, then they really are that person. Whatever you're going to say, if you're going to cherry pick and there's a political agenda there, it's the more moderates don't like Hassan because he's really cozies up to the progressives, or people very critical of Israeli policy and Netanyahu. Then you're like, there's an agenda there, and I have no problem people criticize. I'm just saying I don't think they get it. I don't think Jake and the other guys in corporate media get it. It doesn't have this thing it once did. We live in a different world now.
I guess. I mean, well, here's the thing. And I don't want to start getting complaints from Jake Tapper's people, but I do think that look, I appreciate when Tapper does step out of his lane and do sort of explicit commentary. I like that because he's got credibility with people who are in the middle.
Sure.
And so, like when he lashes out at Trump for something, it has more weight than if I do, for example. So, I heard a lot of people criticizing what he said about Piker. I didn't see it, but to me, that's sort of like take the good with the bad type of situation. Like he's got a right to his opinion, and
Yeah. I have no problem people criticize whatever you want, but I just think the rules of it's an outgrowth of Trump. I think Trump has
Well, yeah.
changed rules overall. That's my big point here. Not
Yes.
you go criticize Hassan Piker, criticize what I say, what Mehdi says, what people what on the right say. That's all fine, but I don't think corporate media saying someone is a bigot or racist or whatever has the same sting it once did. Trump's
Oh no, no,
destroyed
you're right
that.
about that.
That's
No,
my
and
point.
you said a key phrase there that Trump has changed the rules. This is the problem. Trump has not only changed, he's shredded the rules, and but the Democrats haven't caught up. So they are still looking at the Hoyle notebook for everything, every step they do, and Trump's just like he'll just he's like, hey, 52 card pickup, bitch. You
Right,
know.
right.
So
Exactly. He'll say anything at any time. We went long, Tommy, so we can't even play
sorry.
all of this on my radio show tonight, but we'll play a good chunk of it. But everyone on Substack got to see it, which is great. Tell me if you want to follow
I
the
was
work.
I just I did want to. You said you were going to ask me about Trump's approval rating being so
Oh
low,
yeah, yeah.
and I was trying to think of jokes, and I was like, if Dean brings up the so go ahead, ask me about his approval rating.
Well, the CNN poll has Trump at a 35% approval rating, and that's the lowest since the days after January 6th when he was at 34%, and his disapproval is at 64% higher than any time ever, even after January 6th.
I know, Dean. You know what? Trump's approval is so low. Apparently, he's lost both of the Corinthians.
Oh, both the Korean, the columns, I like that very much. He is like right now, the syphilis is more popular than Donald Trump. Right now, herpes is gaining on the guy. That's how
Yeah,
no, yet I mean, he is a lame duck low. Like if people look at George W. Bush in his second term, these were his numbers. But you just have to wait to after the midterm. He's lame duck, but he's a very powerful, dangerous lame duck. That's the problem.
yeah, yeah.
He's not like a quiet lame duck that's gonna go
That's
into the
right.
sunset. He's gonna blow shit up as he leaves. So,
Yeah.
all right, Tommy, where can people follow Mediaite and online? Do you want or Substack
Yeah,
follow you?
I have my own Substack. It's a paid only. Well, no, it's not paid only, but like most of my content that I do interviews, and I want to have you on actually. So most of my interviews are paywalled for a week, and then people can look at them after that. So
So check out Tommy's Substack. Is this called Tommy
yeah,
Christopher or is it as a name?
yeah. I don't know if you go on Substack, I'm Tommy Extifer, just like I am on Twitter, and then check
All
it
right, my
out.
friend. Well,
But
good
yeah, and
speaking to you.
Mediaite, obviously.
And Mediaite.com. Check it's really good media aggregate. I recommend
Yeah,
it so highly. Even though I disagree with some of the writers, they piss me off. It's fine because it's left and right, and that's the fair. I should be at this America. We should
that's
all
right.
agree. We should all.
Yeah,
We should not. We should disagree a lot. Thanks, Tommy. Thanks everyone for joining. People, happy Passover or happy Easter for those who are celebrating. Look forward to chatting with everyone on Monday. Take care, my friend. Have a good day, Tom.
thank you, sir.
Take care.